Most brokers making $10,000 a month or more are working fewer clients than you think. They aren't cold calling all day. They're following a system that targets the right shippers and turns a single lane into a 6-figure or 7-figure year. So in this video, I'm going to show you the new freight broker startup plan that gets cash flowing faster, the hidden math behind high profit lanes, and the early decision that locks in long-term income. So let's start by breaking down the myth of the $10,000 a month freight broker. So when you're starting out, it's easy to assume that success means managing dozens of clients and hundreds of lows. This is the volume fallacy, and it's the fastest way to burn out. When you try to copy the massive freight brokerages, you spread your focus way too thin. Okay, you end up basically on a hamster wheel, working 14-hour days for thin margins. The reality of this business follows the 80-20 principle. 80% of your revenue will likely come from just 20% of your clients. So the strategy we're talking about today flips the volume model. So we prioritize depth over breadth. So you don't need 50 clients. You need 3 to 5 high quality anchor clients who trust you with their core freight. Why? Because that's far easier and more efficient to manage 5 loads from one client than 1 load from 5 different clients. Efficiency creates profit and sustainable growth. The most critical early decision that you must make, the one that locks in all long-term income, is specialization. Most beginners take a generalized approach. Okay, they say, I can haul anything, anywhere. They think this opens up more opportunities. In reality, that makes you a commodity. Okay, if you do everything, you are an expert at nothing, and you don't know how to have those conversations intelligently. And you're forced to then compete only on price, which we don't want to do. Shippers want a scalpel. Okay, they want the broker who understands the nuances of their specific freight. This is the anti-commodity decision. You need to find the friction in the supply chain. So in freight, complexity equals profit. Think about specialized flatbed freight, or heavy haul, or heavy value refrigerated goods, or time-sensitive components that shut down factories if they're late. When a shipment requires knowledge, or permits, or specific handling, the number of brokers who can handle it reliably and speak about it intelligently and actually act as a valuable resource to these people and add more onto what they already know drops dramatically. And this allows you, the specialist, to charge a premium. And when you speak the specific language of a niche, shippers instantly see you as an expert. Expertise commands higher profit. Okay, so let's look at the hidden math behind high profit lanes. So these high earning brokers, like the ones from our freight broker training mentorship group, for example, they aren't chasing massive one-off margins. They're looking for what I call a golden lane. A golden lane isn't necessarily the highest paying lane. It's the most repeatable lane. The $10,000 a month strategy is about securing consistent volume at a sustainable margin, usually between 12 and 16%, 12 and 18%. The market ebbs and flows, but let's break down the numbers. The goal is $10,000 a month. So let's assume an average profit, which is the spread, of $300 per load. That's a healthy, sustainable margin. You need to move about 33 loads per month, or roughly 8 loads per week. Now let's see how the golden lane concept makes this easy. So let's say you land a client shipping from Atlanta to Dallas 3 times per week. At $300 profit per load, that's $900 a week. Extrapolate that over a year, and that one lane from that one client is worth over $46,000 a year in gross profit. You don't need 50 clients to hit $10,000 a month. You need 3 golden lanes. This is why high earners, they aren't cold calling all day. Okay, once they lock in their core lanes, their focus shifts from prospecting to operating those lanes flawlessly, and then adding agents onto their team to keep finding more of those golden lanes. Once you land that first golden lane, this is where the real growth happens. This is how you turn that single lane into a 6-figure year. This is what we call the land and expand strategy. This is what tons of our members are doing. Most beginners are purely transactional. They get a load, they cover it, they move on. You need to be strategic. For your first few loads, you must be perfect. Over communicate. Send updates before the shipper even asks. You need to build absolute trust. Reliability is the ultimate sales tool. After you've proven your reliability, schedule a call, a discovery call. Don't ask, do you have any more loads? Say, what are the consequences when a carrier falls off your loads? You're probing for opportunities to solve bigger problems, okay? You're shifting from being a vendor who competes on price to being a logistics partner. I talk about this all the time. Who is part of their strategy? Okay, so we've talked about shippers, but the final key to the $10,000 a month strategy is your carrier network. Okay, this is how you protect your margins. If you rely purely on public load boards like DAT for every single load, you're always negotiating from the position of weakness. Okay, that's a great place to start. What we're doing is finding now carriers over time to work with that are perfect. You are competing on the volatile spot market. Essentially, you need to build a carrier fortress, a private, dedicated network of drivers who prefer working with you because you pay on time and you have great communication. When you have a golden lane like that, let's say Atlanta to Dallas route, your goal is to find a carrier who runs and executes that exact route, locks them in, and hopefully they can just do it for forever. So you ask them, hey, how often do you run this route? Can you take this load every Tuesday and Thursday? Do you have a backhaul? When you offer a carrier consistent volume, you gain leverage to negotiate better rates than the spot market. So if you save just $100 per load by using a core carrier, that's thousands of dollars in extra profit per year. And when you have a carrier fortress, you can accept loads with confidence. And this reliability is what allows you to land and expand with your shippers. Hitting $10,000 a month, it's not about brute force or working 100-hour weeks. Please don't do that. You're going to get so burnt out. It's about making smart, strategic decisions early on. Now, this strategy relies on you being able to secure that first client with the right paperwork.